Hello. Okay, so I received a request, a few requests on a tutorial for how to make this album. I shared this album with you a few days ago, and I received quite a number of requests on how I put it together. So I'm going to share with you. But first, I would like to say that the idea of a waterfall into a skinny album, into a skinny book, is not my original idea. It is from my sister Scrapper. She has some great videos making this book. I changed it up and I added these 2 pages, which are essentially just pocket pages, because I wanted to be able to include some larger photographs. And I also changed the size because I wanted to keep my pictures to be 4 by 4, so I changed the size a little bit as well. Okay, so I'm going to share with you how I made mine. The one that I'm going to make is going to be a little bit smaller. We're going to use, here I have 7 waterfall pieces. On the one I'm going to make now, we're just going to use 5. I will give you the measurements for this if you would like. If you don't, go ahead and fast forward through this. The covers for this one, this is the longer one, are 7.5 by 5. And the spine is 7.5 by 1. The waterfall pieces are the same as what we're going to use here, so you don't need those. The page pieces, these are 9.5 by 7 3/4, and you're going to score them at on the 9.5 side, you're going to score them at 4 3/4. On the 7 3/4 side, you're going to score them at 1/2 inch. This will make more sense as we go through it, you'll see, but if you write down these measurements as I give them to you, then you can make the bigger one if you want to. And so that's about it for that one. That's the difference for that. So now we'll go ahead and we'll work on ours. I already filmed this once and I put together the waterfall part and then it stopped recording, so I'm not sure, but I'm sure that everyone knows how to put together a waterfall. You just put together your pieces. These are 4 3/4 by 4 1/4, and I scored the 4 3/4 side at 1/2 inch, and then I just attach them. And then this last one is 4 1/4 by 4 1/4, and it's just attached with a little gap as well. Okay, so that's your waterfall part. And then for mine, I chose to make a pocket, and because I already started, it's already done. So I'm just going to show you how I made it. This piece of paper is 6.5 by 9, and on the 9-inch side, you're going to score it at 1/2 inch and 4 3/4, and then you're going to turn it around and score it at 1/2 inch. Okay. Then after you set all your folds, crease all your folds, then you're just going to cut off this corner and you're going to cut off this little bit of the 1/2 inch. And that's how you're going to create your pocket. Okay. Then we're going to put adhesive on here. And if you want to see how that's made, you're going to see how I make it because the pages are almost exactly the same as this. They're just one flap shy. So you'll see how it comes together. And then I just have a little bit of a hangover, so I'm just going to remove that real quick. Okay, so that is going to be the part that my waterfall piece sticks onto. Okay, and I'm actually going to go ahead and round the edges of this one as well, because I want it to line up well with my waterfall piece. So there we have it. Okay, what I'm going to do to attach that is I'm just going to apply adhesive along, ouch, all the edges of this. That really hurt. And then I'm also going to make sure that this top part here, where all of the flaps are, is adhered really well, because we don't want them coming up, and because they're going to move around so much, it's important that we make sure that they are attached well. Okay. There we go. Now we have a nice little tag. And you can see you can fit your tag right there in the back, okay? So the next thing that we need is we need a scrap of paper. Let's see, I like this one, yes. I'm just taking a scrap that I have here and I'm going to cut it down a little bit. And I think I want it to be about 2 inches. There we go. And yes. And then I'm going to fold it over because I want to be able to hide the magnet that I put in here. If you don't have magnets, you can create this little flap with just some ribbon. You could tie some ribbon around from the back side, bring some ribbon around and tie it here if you wanted to. You could put some, actually, you know what? I think I'm going to do ribbon. I like the idea of the ribbon here. But if you wanted to do this part, all you do is put your magnet in here right around the fold and then put a magnet there. And then this part would wrap under the bottom, and then this is just your tab that would fold that. But I think I'm going to go ahead and use some ribbon because I like that idea. So I'm going to use some seam binding, and I think I'll use my cream colored or, yep, cream. I'm just going to go ahead and wrap it around the back kind of low. I want it low enough so that the picture that I put on here can still be seen. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and tie a bow here. Okay. I'm not even really going to worry. I just want to make sure that it looks decent. It's where I want it. Once it's where I want it, I'm going to turn my thing over. And I'm going to take some tape, which I seem to have lost. Here it is. I'm going to take some tape, and I'm just going to tape that to the back so that it can't move around once it's on. Then that way it'll help hold it while I attach it. Okay? So now I have this. I'm going to put this aside because we're done with this for now. Okay? This is all you need for that. Next, I've already covered my book because I've done a lot of these, so I'm sure you don't need to see how to do these. My covers here are 5 by 6.5, 2 of those, and then this is 1 by 6.5, and that's my spine. Okay? And then I folded it together like that. So what's going to happen then is the pocket that you created here is going to attach right there. If you want to have some pattern paper on the back, it would look nice, I think. Don't really like that one. Or if you just want it to remain like that, that looks good too. And I actually think I'm going to leave it like that because then I think it stands out a little bit more. So I'm not going to go ahead, I'm not going to put a pattern paper there. I'm going to go ahead and put my adhesive on the back, making sure to go over my ribbon because I really don't want it to move. Okay. So there we have that. And then you still have your opening. So you're going to place that. I'm putting mine a little more towards the bottom. I don't want it quite centered because I want room for the tag up there. So I just place it towards the bottom. Then I'm going to put that in there. And so there we have our waterfall, and it's staying closed really well. So that works really good. Okay. Then what you need is a tag, and I've already cut and pre-decorated my tag so that you didn't have to watch that. The one thing I didn't do is put a little piece on it. I'm going to go ahead and use this, which is a Stampin' Up punch, and it's a tag. I don't know what it's called. I don't remember. But I'm going to go ahead. Actually, I want that one for that one. I'm just going to go ahead and find some scraps and cut out some scraps. Let's use this one. There we go. Okay. And then I'm going to fold this and attach it to my tag. Just because for here I can't really give it a thumb pull or anything like that. So I need a way to get it out without leaving it hanging out of my pocket too much. Alright. And I think for these I'm going to go ahead and put this directly in the center. Just like that. Okay. And then this tag piece, the tag itself is 4x6, I believe. Let me just check. 4x6. Yep, it's 4x6. So the mat piece is 3 7/8 by 5 7/8, and then I would just cut my photo to 3 3/4 by 5 3/4. And so then I would still have most of my photo on there if I wanted to use a full size photo. And so that just slides right in there, which is not, there we go. Just slides in there, and then the tag hangs out just a little bit, but that's okay with me. Okay, so now you have this side all done. So let's do this side. All you need is, first of all, we're going to cover the page. We're going to cover it. And then we're going to create some rounded pockets. And if you keep all your scraps, then you can use them to create the backs of the tags if you want to. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and adhere this down. There we go. Okay. There we go. Now let's create a tag. So for the tag, I think for this one I'm just going to put one tag on it. On the other one I made, I put 2 tags. But I'm pretty sure, let's create a tag with this piece. So this is how I do mine. I'm not sure how other people do theirs, but this is how I do mine. What I'm going to do is put this piece of paper on here, kind of where I want it. I'm going to draw I'm just going to put a little mark right where my paper ends. Then I'm going to take that to my scoreboard. I'm going to line up the mark and score it. Whoops. Score it. And then take my other one, line up the mark on this side, and score it. Then I'm just going to cut away a part of it because I only need a half of a inch on each side to make my tabs. Okay, so now I've done that part. Now what I like to do is just kind of draw on there a nice little arch. Okay, and then sort of follow it around, just like that. Okay. Then I want to mat this, and I'm going to go ahead and mat it with this one. There. Perfect. So I want to cut right there and right there. And actually, let's do this. I want to line this up right there, and then I'm just going to move it out a little bit so that it will be matted. Then I'm going to turn it around and I'm cutting it out. I'm just holding it really firmly and cutting it to match so that when I put it on this side, it will match up nicely. I just need to go around a little bit more. There we go. Now let's see how that works. Looks good. Then I fold these up. And when you fold up your tabs, if you want to make sure that these tabs don't show, sometimes they can show up around the rounded part. So if they do, then you just want to cut those off too. Okay, then we're just going to adhere this right to there. And it might look better if you inked the edges. I don't ever ink edges on videos that I make. And sometimes I don't even ink them on projects. But on videos I don't because it's so repetitive and it takes so long. So I just leave them. Okay, so there we have our rounded pocket. And it looks lovely, except for this little part right here, which is going to bug me. Let's see if I can fix it. Okay, there we go. There we go. Now we can fill that with pockets. And now we have to do this part and the pages, and then we're essentially done. I just want to show you, I already have tags pre-cut for my pages, but your tags can also fit right into there. Okay? So you can make extra tags, and all these tags will fit in there. Or your smaller tags, or any of the cut-aparts like this has a cut-apart page here. So I could use that from this collection. I could use that and put them in there too if I wanted to. But let's go ahead and do the spine. For this piece, you need a piece of paper that is 4, I believe it needs to be 4 3/4 by, let's go 6 1/4, because we don't want it to fall or to go over our page. Okay. Then we're going to score it at 3/4, 1 inch, 1/2 inch, 2 inches, 2 1/4, 2 3/4, 3 1/4, and 1/2 inch. Okay, so it didn't need to be 4 3/4. It needed to be 4 and I want it to be 3/4. So 1, 2, 3. It needed to be 4 1/4. Okay, so we'll have to cut that to 4 1/4 by 6. So the first thing we do is cut that off. 4 1/4 by 6. Then the next thing I do is I like to fold in between my 2 1/2 inch pieces. I just fold those up. Okay. Then I open up my page and I open up my piece and I bring those 2 1/2 inch pieces together and score them or fold them really well. Then do the same thing with the other and fold it. Okay. And then this piece is going to fold under, scored really well. Same for this last piece. Okay. So now this is what we have. I want to fold this back. This is my 1/2 inch piece, and I am angling it to fit my pages better. Okay. Now I'm going to turn them over, and on my 1/2 inch pieces, I'm just going to put some adhesive and then bring them together. Very much like that. Okay, and then this is what we're left with. Burnish those folds in both directions. Then flip your piece over, and on the back of this tab right here, we're going to put some adhesive right up next to the score and then right on the edge. And then turn it over, and you're going to do the same exact thing to the side. Right up next to the edge and right up next to the edge. Okay? And then this is going to fold back just like that. And this piece is going to fold back, and that stabilizes your spine there a little bit more. Burnish your edges really well, and then open it up. Burnish those really well. Fold it this way. Fold it that way. Just make your pieces really able to turn. Okay? And so this is what you're left with. And this is going to be your little piece that attaches inside your book. Now here's where you just need to get a little bit tricky here. What we're going to do is this piece is going to attach closer. It's not going to be centered. You would think you would want it to be centered in your spine, because your spine is 1 inch and this is not. This is only about little over 3/4. Okay, so you don't want this centered in the middle. You want it to be over towards the back page, because you want to give yourself a little more room in the front for your waterfall. That is a lesson that I learned in my first book. Okay, So I'm going to put my adhesive on here, and then I will show you how I attach it. Okay, so I've got this all with my adhesive. This is the back of my book. I'm going to fold it up, and then I'm just going to kind of rest my spine or my hinge piece right along that back piece, okay? So that in the end I know that the back page will close, I know it will come up and without interfering with this, and I know then I also have extra room next to the waterfall, and I'll show you what I mean for that. On this one, this is my book. Can you see how the waterfall pushes this page in? Because I did not give it extra space. This spine is 3/4 of an inch, so it's exactly the space. So I only have 1/4 of an inch in here, and that's not enough for the waterfall. Okay? So now you have your book like this. Okay? So let's go ahead and make our pages. You're going to have 2 pages. These 2 pages are cut to 6 1/2 by 9 1/2. Okay, what we're going to do is put them in our scoreboard, and we're going to score them at 1/2 inch. We're on the 6 1/2 inch side right now. I'm going to score it at 1/2 inch. Then I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to score it at 4 3/4, and that's it. Okay, same thing for this one. 4 3/4. Turn it around and score it at 1/2 inch. Very simple, very easy pocket pages. If you wanted to make these more complicated, you could always add, or more intricate, or whatever you want to call it. You can add flaps to them. Stick some flaps on them. You could add some more pockets. You could get really intricate with these if you wanted to. Make sure if you do that, you give yourself a little more room in your book, though. I made this book intentionally thin. Okay, so all I did is I trimmed these at an angle, and then I cut 1/2 inch off one side. So I'm trimming this at an angle, this one, and then I'm going to trim this up. Okay, so that's that essentially. We're going to crease our folds. Like so. Then all I'm going to do is I'm going to put some adhesive on this flap and seal it up. There's a little bit overhang that I don't want on there, so I'm just gonna remove that. Then we got this one. Going to adhere that down. Okay, oh, there's overhang on this one as well. Alright. Now we've got those. Now you take your book and, whoops, I messed up. Okay, you're going to put your adhesive on the back side of this flap, and then I like to stick my Darn it. Apparently, I should have made that just a little bit smaller. There we go. So I'm going to stick it on there, and then I'm going to hold it firmly at the base and then lay it down and do it, because if you do it standing up, then you might not be able to lay your page down. Then I just lift it up, apply some adhesive there. If you have double-sided tape with a remover with a back on it, that would be better to use, because then you can put it down and then you can lay it down again. For me, I don't have that, so I'm just making do with what I have. Okay. And if I had been paying attention when I cut out my paper, I would not have used this piece, because that was the top piece over here and I didn't want that. But obviously I wasn't paying attention, so that's a thing. Alright, I'm going to fold this down and apply my adhesive to the back side of that. Then I'm going to stick my page in there, and I'm just holding it right where I want it. Push it in there so it's nice and firm. And then use your bone folder. If you lay it down before you attach it firmly, then you know that your page will flow more freely. If you attach it in a standing up position, it's going to go right to the spine, and then it won't flow it won't turn as freely either. So you definitely want to lay it down. Okay, so there you have that. And now you just go around and decorate however you'd like to. And again, I have cut my tags and folded my tags. I just need to give them a tab. Also, in my other book, I did cut a circle out for these. I think I'm not going to this time. And also, the other thing I did is, because these are not centered, they're over to the side, I'm centering the tabs, because I'm not going to center the tabs, actually. I'm just going to put one on one side and one on the other side. And I'm going to call that good. Okay, so I need one more here. And I think I'll use... I think I like this one. I'll use this one and my punch. Okay. Alrighty. So what I want to do now is I want to put this one, I'm going to flip this over, and I want it to be in exactly the same spot on this side, and then when I flip it over, it will be in the opposite spot. So now I'm going to flip like that, and then I've got two tags just like that. And it really doesn't matter if they're not centered, because like I said, in this thing, they're not going to be centered because of the extra thing that you have on there. Okay, so there's those tabs. And I don't think I'm going to cut a circle on this, because I think I like it like that. And then you can cut more tags, and then when you close it up, see how your tags all match up. And then you can also see that it still kind of pushes it back, but not nearly as much. So you have more space. Okay, and it will take up a little more space even when you put your pictures on here. That's one of the reasons why on my other one I did not mat it, because it it was getting too big. Okay, then the last little bit is to put on the covers, and I want to tie it with the same ribbon that I have there. I'm going to attach some seam binding right there. And I just want to be able to tie it in a bow. Line it up. I just like to make sure it matches up and then stick it down there. And then I'm going to cut it to the same length and put that away. Okay. Then I have my covers. So we're going to go ahead and stick those on. And when I stick my covers on, I like to hold my ribbon nice and tight, because then the adhesive on the paper will hold the ribbon better. Whoops. Okay. And then back side. And hold it again. Oops. And we gotta put this one upside down. There we go. Lots of pressure, make sure it sticks good. And there we have it. And if you want to, a little piece to cover your spine. I cut this piece to 1 inch because even though my spine is 1 inch, there's extra because of the folds and whatnot, so it looks better that way. And there we go. Your spine, your cover, and your back, and it's ready to be tied. And all you need now are pictures and maybe some tags in the back here. And there you have it. You have some lovely tags there, kind of hidden. Another tag there, and another tag there, and it makes for a nice little book, a quick little gift. And with a little bit of prep, we were able to do this in about 40 minutes. So you could put together a bunch of these really quickly. I hope you like it. I hope you try to make one. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me or leave a comment down below.